Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest and most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and on occasion, make fun of them. Today, I'm going to hear a story titled, I found out my wife, a 28-year-old female of 14 years, cheated a couple years ago on vacation. How do I handle things from here? And guys, this story is about a guy. He is, I suppose, in his late 20s, and his wife is in his late 20s. And one day they were having a conversation, having some drinks, and one thing led to another, to her slipping out something that led to obviously him finding out that when she was on vacation, a girls' weekend, ding, 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 she had relations with a local guy. Not once, but many, many, many times. And of course, he's getting the waterworks and the whole 9 yards there. Now the guy's wondering, what the heck do I do? I'm covering this one, guys, because it's unfortunate, but this type of story comes up every now and again. Girls' weekend, girls' night, and bachelorette parties, and these things aren't too good. So, unfortunately, you got to pay attention. It's sad how things go. And also, you're going to see here how the old waterworks always comes out and things like that. I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. And these poor guys do everything right, and yet you see what happens. So, I'm going to jump into this story and see how this goes here. Starts off. It says, we've been together since we were 14 years old. Got married at 23, had been married for 5 years. 14 years old, so they're like junior high sweethearts. That's something I don't hear very often. Please tell me this guy had a few other girls somewhere in between. Maybe there was a breakup or something, but been with this girl since he was 14. Hope she was hot. We celebrate our 5th wedding anniversary in June. Recently, we've been discussing kids, and a couple nights back, we were drinking a bit, and the topic ended up on pregnancy scares. We had a couple of those back in college, and then my wife drunkenly mentioned that one in 2017, which sobered me up real fast. The last time we had one of those was 2012, when we were both 21. So she's drinking, and oops, let something out. I was like, what do you mean 2017? And she got this weird expression on her face before trying to play it off like it was a drunken slip of the tongue. But I've been with her since we were 14 years old, and I know when something's up with her. And I said, no, you're lying. Tell me, WTF, what do you mean about a scare in 2017? Now watch what happens next. He says, my nose is itching me like crazy. She tried playing it off again and leaving, and at this point my mind was running away from me, so I grabbed her hand and said, tell me what the hell you're talking about. She then just breaks down and starts crying as if her parents had just passed away. So many times I go over these stories, and it's always like, boom, like a button is pushed and the tears come a-flowing like Niagara Falls. It's amazing. She told me in 2017, when she took a holiday with 2 of her friends, they met some guys and partied with them for a few days before the trip had ended. It was a 10-day long trip, and this would have been day 6. They went to this guy's place to continue hanging out, and her friends had you-know-what with a couple of them. She said she stayed drinking a bit with another and had been firm about being married. However, the dude was handsome and charming and persuaded her to having some fun. Who cares? It takes 2 to tango. You're going to blame him. You can see where this is going. Well, he was charming and handsome, and I told him I was married. Shifting the blame on the other dude. And don't get me wrong, if the guy knows darn well that she was married, let's just say if, yeah, he's a scumbag. But at the end of the day, it's her choice. It's her decision. She can get up there and leave. Nope. And this only shows how the idea of like, well, if a guy marries a woman and she's a virgin, then she's not going to cheat. Wrong. Because especially nowadays, how things are almost being promoted like this, they may wonder, what was I missing? And then here we go. Anyhow, he was charming and blah, blah, blah. She said, he pointed out that she was thousands of miles away from her husband, and me, never knew, and he might be her only chance to have you-know-what with someone else other than the guy that she slept with only one time. I guarantee this dude who hooked up with his wife probably had a different girl every single week that was on vacation. It was the same old story. Mark my words. She said she resisted at first, but at some point didn't think of me or us and just went with it. She slept with him twice that night, and then a few more times over the remaining days of the trip. Her friends didn't ask or say anything, and she said she felt guilty but did it anyway. So it wasn't just the one time when it was her drinking. She then had to go back for round 2 that night, and the remaining nights of the trip, she was hooking up with that dude. It would be, I wouldn't say it'd be one thing if it was that one time when she was drunk, because there's still no excuse. But that she went back and did it multiple times, obviously sober, making that decision. And her friends covered it up. Again, pay attention to who the girls hang out with. On the last day of the trip, her friends and her were back at the hotel, but one of them said, "Don't worry about it, we won't say anything. What happens here stays here." She didn't mention if those girls had husbands or boyfriends either. And she just broke down crying over there. According to her, she felt like it was a full-on mental breakdown. They comforted her and said they'd support her, but she made her decision to have you-know-what with the guy multiple times. Exactly. Don't shift blame on him that he persuaded her. I don't want to hear that he's so handsome. You made that choice. You're an adult, and you did it when you were sober multiple times. She's toast. She said she felt like a piece of crap, and before she came home, she called and said she'd get a ride to her mother's house where she'd be for a few weeks. Well, she was already getting a ride a few times in Mexico, wherever they were on vacation. She got tested during this period and debated over what to do. She wanted to tell me, but she didn't want to lose me, and so resolved to put in the past and just be better, faithful wife, and then on. It's always the same old story. I didn't want to lose you, so I figured, hey, what you don't know won't hurt you. Well, really, what you don't know will hurt you. If this chick had a chance, she would actually be honest with the guy. There's some chance. Since then, she hung out with. Since she then hung up with those women. I can't even say this right. Since then, she hung out with those women a lot less, and I'll admit that she seemed to try very hard to be a good wife and lover after she came home. I thought she just missed me a lot, but now I know that she was overcompensating. So, guys, for those of you who are watching this, if you have a girlfriend or wife or fiance, and she goes away for a while with a girlfriend's trip, and all of a sudden she comes back and she's extra loving, extra affectionate, all that. Unfortunately, in the back of your mind, you're going to have to kind of wonder about these type of things. Where is that coming from? Did she really miss me that much? Or is she overcompensating? Which led to the other night. I feel like my mind is just in a daze. I paced around the parking lot for like an hour at work, and my boss even said if everything was okay, and told me to head home if I wanted. She's been trying to speak to me, crying a lot. I hate that she's acting as if she's the one hurt by my ignoring her right now. This guy has every right to ignore her. I'd walk out of there too. Well, shit, I'd tell her to leave. I'd say, go back to your mom's house. I'm not leaving my house. You can leave. She's been promising that she'll be a great wife, but the fact is that she effed another man multiple times, and if not for a stupid conversation coming up while drinking, I'd never know. Then there's the part of me wondering if she's ever cheated before. Right. You can't blame her for thinking this. Situation was reversed, she would be thinking the same thing. If she ever cheated before, if there were other scares with other guys. What did she really do all those times that she hung out with her friends? Suddenly, I'm questioning most of the 14 years together. And who could blame him? I'm at a loss as to what to do here. I'm still madly in love with her, but suddenly the sight of her makes me want to punch something or just grab her and scream in her face till my voice stops working. I hate that I feel like this. Well, at the end of the day, he's 28 years old. He's very young, in my opinion, given I'm 43. They have no kids. Married 5 years. This is going to drive this guy crazy for life. Every time that she goes out with her girlfriends, mark my words, he's going to remember this. Probably every time they hook up and he closes his eyes and she's riding him like a freaking crazy girl, he's going to picture some other dude. Okay? And as the saying goes, once a cheater is always a cheater. And you're in a relationship, you're in a marriage, and you can no longer trust your partner, man or woman. Goes both ways. That's it. So in my opinion, I would just say, hey, you know what? It's over. It's done. Didn't work out. Tried my best. Moving on. We're both young. You're young. I'm young. Let's move on. That's what I would do. Because the odds are he lets this go, it'll happen again. She may be a very loyal, giving wife after this, at least for a little while, put on the show of it. But after a while, there's going to be part of her deep down thinking, well, he let me get away with this? I suddenly respect him less. And of course, but let's just say he decides to stay with her. Well, the first thing I would tell him, I'd advise him to do is not, I'd say, you're not hanging out with those girls anymore. They're trouble. Because he can't trust them. They'll try to lead her astray. That'd be the one thing I'd do. But again, if it was me, I'd say, we're done. Now, there are other comments, people thinking similar things I'm going to share here because I like to see what other people have to say about these types of things. One guy says, dude, you're 28, no kids. This is going to haunt you forever. Clean break. Take some time to focus on yourself and hit the dating scene. You're going to find something better. Couldn't have said it better myself. But I think this guy would have to take a while before he even considered dating again. I would recommend that definitely. I'd work on himself, get himself back into good shape. If he's not already in good shape, save some money, figure out his shit, and move on. And then if at that point he wants to start dating again, okay, but just be very careful. Another guy says, she did it multiple times sober. I wouldn't be able to forgive this man. Multiple times. Again, it's bad enough the first time when she was drunk, but then she was sober and made a choice to do this. One could say maybe she was trying to sabotage the whole thing. Who the hell knows? Another guy says, she cheated on you multiple times, both drunk and sober. She made the conscious decision to have you-know-what with this guy over and over again. Then she lied about it for 2 years and did it so convincingly you had no idea. Now you have to live knowing that she's such a good liar, you'll never know she's telling the truth. Exactly. Like I said, in any relationship, there's got to be trust, and the trust is gone. And he said, and she would have kept lying about it, possibly forever, if not for the tiniest slip of the tongue. There's no way I could come back from that. Maybe you can, but it most definitely won't happen without immediate couples counseling. For right now, it might be best if one of you stays somewhere else until you feel less volatile and maybe only see each other at a therapist's office or with mutual friends around until things calm down a bit. Well, if anybody's going to leave the house, she should leave the house. She can go live with her mom for a while he figures things out. If she wants to prove herself that she's so sorry and her loyalty, she can do what he says that she needs to do while he figures things out. That means pack her bags and go live with mama for a while. And then and he'll take his time on how to handle it. And unfortunately, the marriage counseling, yeah, it does help some people, but they're generally going to obviously try to a lot of times side with the woman. And obviously they want to keep the marriage going, even when honestly it's gone. But that's up to him. Another guy says, what a nightmare. I don't know, man. A one-off might be forgivable, but a solid week of effing another guy bareback and her friends laughing about it, let's not forget that. They all knew. They all told people this isn't as big a secret as you think. No one told you is all. F that. You're still a young man and you don't have any kids. Get the F out of this now. That's what I'm thinking. I didn't even think about that part. Her friends know. And as we all know, they can't keep secrets. So I guarantee there's at least one person that each of them told. And that person probably told another person. So everybody in town knows about this. So aside from the fact that it happened to this guy and the hurt and the betrayal and all that, aside there's the additional humiliation that all these other people know about this. So, like that guy said, and another guy said, 28 years old, holy crap, I'd give anything to be 28 years old again. Sky's the limit. He's got his whole life ahead of him. I would just throw in the towel. Didn't work. If he wants to keep it amicable and peaceful, say, hey, you know what? Didn't work out. Okay, clearly you weren't happy. So fine. Let's part ways. Wish you all the best. I'm moving on. End of story. We shall see. But so many guys, unfortunately, stay in bad situations, bad relationships, bad marriages like this after something like this happens because they feel bad because of the kids. They don't want it to impact the kids, the divorce and all that. Well, there are no kids here. And hopefully there are no dogs or cats either because nobody wants to split up dogs or cats. I'm a cat lover. So I would say he'd move on. But anyway, guys, on vacation, hooking up with other dudes. It's such a stereotype. I've done plenty of stories like this. Girls' weekends, girls' nights, girls' vacations, bachelorette parties. Holy crap, the stories I've done about bachelorette parties. And I've had guys comment on my other channel. Guys that were bartenders, guys that were bouncers that worked in these bars and clubs and the stuff they saw in these bachelorette parties. That would give you chills. Anyhow, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, also, if you have come across a really good story you'd like me to share, by all means, email it to me. And if it definitely works, I will certainly do it. It may not be right away, but it will happen later on in the future. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.